Web2py fedora C. Okay, so let's get started. I guess I am able to just close this link. So let's get started. All right, now this is first of all welcome for tuning in. I'm going to walk you through the process of installation of a Python server. I forgot to mention this is Python actually. Anyway, I will do that later on. First of all, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to walk you through the process of installing Python Web2py framework, creating a API call, or actually testing the API call that the framework already provides us, and afterwards we'll be building a small application that will just call that service, and from the command line we'll be making this application. It'll be a console application with C++ or C for the matter. So first thing we have to do is we head on to web2py. There's a download page. In my case, I will be downloading the source for the source code for Python 3.7. I will just it's just a simple zip file. It's quite light. Right, there it is. There are some certain requirements. Bear with me. This is my first video and I'm not well prepared and organized. I just installed OBS and I'm just willing to give it a test with real live content. So I hope there are not many delays and that I'm audible. So let's list first of all the requirements. The requirement we have to download Web2py. There's a zip. We need also to have Python 3 installed in our system. In this case I'll be using probably Visual Codes. Let's say an IDE. You can also use a basic code editor depending on the environment you'll be using. We'll be using also the libcurl library, and I guess we'll be using also postman. So these things are we going to be using. So let's get started. What is the project about? Well, we are going to install first. We install Web2py Framework. Web2py is a Python framework which allows you to build websites, responsive, professional websites, and that's the first thing we're gonna do. We're gonna install Web2py, then we're gonna walk very quick through the environment. We're gonna install it, we're gonna launch it, and we're going to check out the API service that chips with it. It's a demo API service, chips with it, and finally we are going to build a this is on the Python side. We'll be doing these things, and then we're gonna create a API call with Postman. Let's call it API call. And finally, we are going to implement that API call using well, we're going to implement the API call, and for that we're going to have to install the library called libcurl. Install the libcurl. We're going to build it from scratch, so it's not a simple installation. Build from scratch. And finally, we're going to implement C++ or C program that will consume to consume API GET request. So that's pretty much what we'll be doing throughout this tutorial video. So let's get started. I already downloaded Web2py. I head on to the place where it is set. I'm going to unzip this. I like to do things from the command line. Bear with me, I just like to type commands. Let's see if we can have a unzip to unzip this. There it is. So these are the contents of our server, our framework, whatever you might call it. So what we have here is the where is it? Yeah, this file is actually what will launch the application. Then we have in applications, we have sample applications. We have this application called welcome, and example. So let me just walk you through the structure of this is more how it's called model view controller type of architecture. Model view controller, most known as MVC type of architecture, which means you have the views on one side, you have the models on another side, and the controllers. Well, the views, that describes the pages that the end user will see, the look and feel. The models, this is the place where we store our data structures, databases, you name it. And the controller, where we program the logic that interacts with the models and the views in the end. So this is where the programming is done. On the views, of course, there's some programming, but another level of programming. This is more like look and feel, HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and such. And here's where we have the Python code. This same model is this architecture is used for many other frameworks. Anyway, so this is done. It is installed. Yeah, actually the installation of this is just simply download the package. That's all what it is to it. So once you download the package, you can just place it in wherever you want to keep it permanently. In this case, I'm not going to install it permanently, so I just keep it in the downloads because later on I will be deleting it. So before we install the application, I want to show you how it looks like. Actually, it looks like this. This is the official website of a Web2py, and that's how it looks. It is responsive. There are plenty of samples on the website and things, but I will show you my running installation, which is installed in a Raspberry Pi, and that is how it looks like on my local server. It's I have some little things. I use it mostly for personal research and stuff. So what I have here is let me show you. Yeah, I have some little things that I'm doing on Bitcoin research, and I have some API calls implemented, like little things, Bitcoin calculator, whatever you name it. Anyway, so the things that we're gonna do with this system is very simple. From the console, you having unzipped the package already. It has created a web2py folder. We head on to was that folder. Once here, you might need to install this with Python. I mean, run it with Python. So we need Python as well. If you don't have Python, make sure you install it. On Linux is quite simple. You need to make sure oops, I think that was not what I was supposed to do. I think it's version or minus version, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so I have a Python 3.8.10. you can install from Fedora, if I'm not mistaken, is DNF install Python or something like that, right? I'll figure out how what is your host operating system and install Python. Plenty of ways to install Python depending on the operating system that you are using. So make sure you have Python installed, and then once you have Python installed, you enter into the folder that you just unzipped. I like to run, okay, I can just run Python, right? And you can do this. There are different ways to run it, but the simplest form is to just run Python web2py. It will launch this GUI, this window, and from here you can choose a password, administration password. I would choose something simple, 1 through 6, and by default this local IP4 is selected. That means that only you will be able to connect to this service, to this application. If you want it to be available to the public, you should choose the 0.0.0.0 IP. For the sake of this demonstration, I will just let it in the defaults. The port, you can also change the port as you see fit. I will choose 8080 and then start. Well, launch automatically a browser window in which you will see a welcome. This is the welcome application. The application is called welcome, and this is what I will show you where that application is residing. If we go into web2py and head on to applications, there's a welcome application, right? So you could probably, this is just an experiment, actually I never did this. You could probably go into another, oops, let me see, another, yep, there's another. So you can replicate, duplicate applications and create different projects on the same installation. As you can see, you don't even need to restart the application. I thought I at least have to restart, but it's not the case. So okay, next step, we're going to Well, maybe we just have to recap what we have done up until now. I walk you through the download of the Web2py framework. We verify that Python 3 is installed. Now I don't need to do anything with the IDE. Actually, we have an IDE. The whole application Web2py ships with an IDE, so we don't even need to use a special software in order to edit the code, the Python code. So now we just head on to administration page, enter my password, administration password, and what we got here is, you see, the another application I just added, I just created, it's there already. Fantastic. I'll be working, let's work with another. So if I go into manage, edit, we will see a couple of things here. This is actually the IDE. We'll see models, controllers up over here, and views down here, right? So what we are interested in right now is in taking a look to guess I can go just localhost 8080, right? Yes. API example, right? If we click on API example, it is requesting a user. I don't have a user, but I can just register one. I can say and send, let's call, I think I don't even need to give a real and my site.com, let's call it like that. I will create a password, it's 136, just for the sake of this sign out, and so, and yes, I am already automatically signed up. So now we can go head on to the API example, and the API example is simply returning a JSON structure, a JSON object. Fantastic. So where is that JSON object, and how can we interact with that, and how can we create new different API calls and requests? Well, that's quite simple. We just have to get down to the controller, right? Here under controllers, we will see that the controller default exposes the API get user email, right? As the download greeting is user wiki and all those. So we're gonna go ahead on to edit the default. So this is the IDE of Web2py, and there are a lot of very nice features, but this is not the scope of this video. So what we got here is the API call, right? Is actually this function. This little function is what generates an API get verb. Let's say we want to create another API call, right? So, okay, just before we do that, let me just explain a little bit more the dynamics of this API call. We have here a decorator. A auth requires login. That's why I was required to log in and create a user before I could even use the API. You can comment that if you don't want to require login, but for the sake of this tutorial, we're gonna leave it like that. Let's say you want to create another API call, right? Just simply replicate that. We can call it, let's say, price. Let's call this status. Yes, that's okay. And we can call this price, and we can return anything we want to return here. Let's say a something like that. That will work. The magic of this system, you don't need to restart anytime. Oops, actually yes you do. Invalid function default price. Why is that? It says it's invalid, so let's see why this is oh, actually because we were checking in another place. That's the reason why. Hope I didn't forget my password. It was 126 and 127. Anyways, I forgot the password. I chose a very simple password which I now forgot, but I can disable this by simply going over here, or I can actually from here launch the real you see. So this is the API call. It says price, status success, price for. The same way you return for here, you can return a variable. Let's say you want to connect to a database and retrieve specific product information. Put it into a list or array to return it to the user. It's quite simple. Can create variables and basically return. This is the principle. Same way you return that what variable, you can return any data structure that you are interested in. So having said that, I think I can reestablish the login authentication because I would like to yeah, I just forgot the password. Okay, if you forgot the password, that's not a problem. Maybe we can also do that here. We can go to sites, and if you manage this one, you can get into database administration, and you will see the users here. If you submit, oops, wait a minute. Users, the user, membership, permission. It's not listing the users now. Anyways, let's leave it like that. We don't have are we in the right one? Whatever. So let's go back to where we were and do it with without authentication. I don't want to go through that process, create a new user and so. Although I could, it's not that difficult. Be my com 1 2 3 4 5 6 login. I'm sorry, I have to register actually. Be my 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 2 3 4 5 6 7. All right, it's not that difficult, right? So and the call was another price, right? If I'm not mistaken. No, there was something else before. Index user, applicant user, git price, right? This is what exposed. If I just click on it, oh, it's another default price, whatever. Okay, so that's the thing. This is the call, and now the next step is make sure you have Postman installed in your system. If not, you can go ahead and install it. It shouldn't be that difficult to install Postman. Once you have Postman installed, you open Postman and you can create a new request. Some title request. I paste this URI right here. If I send the request, oh, it says successful. Why did I disable login finally? No. Now I'm going to enable login for the price. See what happens. I called and it gives me an error, right? Because I need authorization. I will do a basic authentication. I believe that was, oh my god, BI or AMD, I guess was one of the uses. Bear with me. This is I hate that these authentication things keep on forgetting my passwords. Let me check again, because it should actually on this administration I should be able to check out. There it is. Now I have my USB. Actually, this is my user, dimicom. There we go. So paste it here, and that was 1 through 7. There we go. Something is not okay here because I have spaces here, right? What is going on? It shows the password was 1 through 7. Maybe for this specific one I have something different, and if you click here on the 1, you can reset the password. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and just submit, right? So that is the password. It's been reset. Something is not going well here, and that can be related to, I don't know, host become 1 through 7. Is it B or, yeah, just the B. Let's see. Password 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Reset password key. No, I don't want to reset the password key. It should work. Anyways, if it doesn't, I will if it doesn't work for now, I will just keep it simple and remove the authentication for this moment. So let's remove the authentication for this specific one. There we go. So we don't need authentication here. No outs. And there we go. Anyways, the process of authentication is just like that. We just use basic authentication. I have to double check with when running, but anyway, for the sake of this exercise, we're gonna leave it like that. So we have the response here on Postman, right? So far we have tested out the IDE of the framework. We install Web2py. We check out, make sure that Python is installed. And now we also implemented the call from postman. Next step will be to interact with libcurl library in order to actually we need to build a libcurl library in order to implement it with C or C++. So that's what we're gonna do now. We're going to make sure that we have the library curled. I will need to start a new terminal window with the command locate curl age. We make sure we have curl library installed in the system. If this locate curl.h doesn't return anything, then you can go ahead and download the source code. Is search for libcurl. It will show the site. You head on to the download page to download this package from here. I already did. Once you download, you head on to your downloads folder. You unzip it. This was my program, my code. I unzip it here. Once you are inside, you will need to build it from sources, and the way we do that is from the command line. You can open the terminal, and there are 3 commands: configured, hit enter. When it's done, hit enter. When it's done, make install, hit enter. It will take care of the rest. And make sure that all these commands did run successfully, and then run locate again. And now we can start with C++ implementation. I'm gonna do this on my downloads folder because I delete things from here regularly. So we make a directory for our project. Let's call it curl API. We enter curl API directory. I'll be using Visual Code, so I just typed in code dot. I say I trust. Next, I head on to this directory and I click on the plus new file. Let's call it main.cpp. So once we're here, usually a simple basic C program will require a main function with a return type. I will choose return type int. I'll call it main and return 0, right? So I save. I will compile this first on the command line to make sure that everything's in place, that I have the compiler for C++. Again, the same technique to locate the compiler. GCC will give you the path to where the compiler is, but actually I need G++ because I want to compile it with that C++ compiler, and I can see that yes, it is there in my system. So now I can compile this little program which does nothing. The way to compile with C++ is simply G++ on Linux, of course, goes like that. -O for output. This is program. Let's call it program. And then I'll have to mention the file that I want to compile. If there's no error message, means that everything went fine and I can execute my C++ program. So far so good. Now the next part, the integration with the library and the call that we're going to do towards the API. So we're going to have to head on to Postman, and right here on the right hand side, I don't know if my cursor is clear. Anyway, here there's this icon, codes. Clicked on it. There are plenty of implementations you can choose. I will choose C libcurl. I will copy this and I will paste it right here. So you can see we have some red lines under certain constants, which is showing us that we are missing something. We are missing the library, right? We need to include the library so that the system knows where to get these implementations. So we include curl age, and we see how magically all these things disappear. Fair enough. And there are things from here that we might not need, like this cookies line we might not need. The rest we can leave intact. And now we're gonna compile this again. What will happen, we're going to receive an error if we try the exact same method. We're gonna receive an error because we have to do some little more things, right? That's where we see undefined reference to curl EC whatever. That means that we need to link the library in order to work with these. So in order to link the library, we need to get the path towards the library, right, on system. We're going to locate curl.h. It will give us two alternative paths. We're going to choose this one here. I'll say copy, and basically this program, this line that you used to compile, we're going to change it a little bit, and we're going to add something here. We're going to add -e, and we're going to paste the path towards the place where our header file resides. After that, we're going to use -l curl, hit enter, and there you go. So now we just execute our program and you'll see the result here. So how do we compile this on Visual Studio? Well, if you head on to terminal, you will need to configure a default task. Go over here, you will have to choose on Linux this G++. Probably on Windows or systems you might need to use CPP. I mean another, yeah, for the compilers. In my case I will use G++. I will click on this one and it will show me this file, right? There are certain things I might need to change here. Okay, this is okay, but I want to use the same arguments that I did use on the command line to get the same result. So I don't need these colors and things to build my program. I will delete this. The first option that I used, if I'm not mistaken, was O. So basically what I will do, I will copy this whole line over here just temporarily so I can see. So the first thing we use is -o. Second one is file. This is file dir, file, no extension. So probably we can use actually this one. This will build this will determine what the output will look like, right? In this case, full path to our project directory, and then file name, no extension. It should just pick up this file name and dump it as the program. So it will be called name with no extension. That will be the executable, the binary file. After that we have file, I think that was so file. We're over here, and the next thing we're gonna use, next argument will be the linker. Oops, what happened here? Just want to add this, and the last one is this little line right here. So add a comma, put it here, delete this, make sure that everything is okay, and just save it. We close the task file, which is here. We go back to our program file, and we're going to run build task. It says it finished with errors. What happened here? No such file or directory. What happened here? -o main, that's good. But we see here something very strange. We see here we see here a duplicate. At some point I duplicate some information like file path and file. So file with no extension, file base name, no extension, file dir name, file base name, no extension. Well, it seems like after the O that was fine, but this one here is not working as I expected, so probably I just have to do something like this. Let's take a look, see if that works. So let's clean up this mess, and there's a shortcut, but I'm not going to use it for make it clearer so you can see. Terminal will be read, but then task close up, build finished successfully. So we should see now an executable that is called main. Not program as I did it from the command line, but main. So this one I made from the command line, and this is the one generated from Visual Studio called main. We click on it, we execute it, and there we go. The implementation is done. So that's, I think, let's take a look. Yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to walk you through. I hope this has been helpful, and if you have any suggestions for building up far upon this, just let me know. There are plenty of things that can be done with this type of calls. As you know, most platforms provide an API the developers can interact with. So like Facebook, Twitter, so many giant platforms are providing an API, and that's the basis how we interact with APIs in general. Yep, that's pretty much for now. Thanks for watching. Cheers.